Thank you so much for tuning in. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Please thumbs up already if you haven't already. Please check out our community tab for more interesting content. And the playlist of Queen Elizabeth II's life history is on our community tab. So please check that out and catch up with episodes 1 to 8 if you have already missed it. So today we'll be going on to discuss Queen Elizabeth II's life history, and we'll be talking about perils and descent. We previously discussed Queen Elizabeth's beginning of her life history, as in with her birth, etc. And then we also discussed in part 2 her early life. Part 3 was heir presumptive. Part 4 was Second World War. Part 5 was her marriage. Part 6 was her reign. Part 7 was her early reign. And we also discussed part 8 was political reforms and crises. So now we are on session number 7, and that is perils and descent. So let's go. During the 1981 Trooping the Colours ceremony, 6 weeks before the wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer, 6 shots were fired at Elizabeth from close range as she rode down the mall. Wow! Oh my gosh! They've attempted assassination on such an important day. Thank God nothing happened to the Queen and nothing went through with that. Oh, let's continue. 6 shots were fired at Elizabeth from close range as she rode down the mall, London, on her horse. Burmese, oh my gosh. Police later discovered the shots were blanks. Ah, good. Nothing, well, we know that nothing happened because she lived a very long life. I think she passed away at the age of 96, so their plans didn't go through, and I'm glad it didn't work for them. Good, they were blanks. Let's continue. The 17-year-old assailant, Marcus Sargent, was sentenced to 5 years in prison and released after 3. Oh my gosh. Elizabeth's composure and skill in controlling her mount were widely praised. So that means her horse was probably scared, but she's still able to control the horse at that time. Let's continue. That October, Elizabeth was the subject of another attack while on a visit to Dunedin, sorry if I mispronounced that, New Zealand. Christopher John Lewis, who was 17 years old, fired a shot with a .22 rifle from the 5th floor of a building overlooking the parade, but missed. Oh my gosh, I never was aware of all these attempts on the Queen's life, but thank God none of them went through. Let's keep going. Lewis was arrested, but instead of being charged with attempted murder or treason, was sentenced to 3 years in jail for unlawful possession and discharge of a firearm. 2 years into his sentence, he attempted to escape a psychiatric hospital with the intention of assassinating Charles. Oh my gosh. All this history I never knew about. It's quite interesting, quite scary as well at the same time. But luckily nothing went through. They were all kept safe and they've lived long, healthy lives. So let's keep going. There was an intention to assassinate Charles, who was visiting the country with Diana and their son, Prince William. Wow. Let's keep going. From April to September 1982, Elizabeth's son Andrew served with British forces in the Falklands War, for which she reportedly felt anxiety and pride. On 9th of July, she awoke in her bedroom at Buckingham Palace to find an intruder. Oh my gosh. Michael Fagan in the room with her. In a serious lapse of security, assistance only arrived after 2 calls to the Palace Police switchboard. After hosting US President Ronald Reagan at Windsor Castle in 1982 and visiting his California ranch in 1983, Elizabeth was angered when his administration ordered the invasion of Grenada, one of her Caribbean realms, without informing her. Oh my gosh. Let's keep going. Intense media interest in the opinions and private lives of the royal family during the 1980s led to a series of sensational stories in the press, pioneered by the Sun tabloid. As Calvin Mackenzie, editor of The Sun, told his staff, "Give me a Sunday for Monday splash on the Royals. Don't worry if it's not true. Oh my gosh." So long as there's not too much of a fuss about it afterwards. Newspaper editor Donald Trailford wrote in The Observer of 21st September 1986, "The royal soap opera has now reached such a pitch of public interest that the boundary between fact and fiction has lost sight. It is not just that some papers don't check their facts or accept denials. They don't care if the stories are true or not." Oh my gosh. So back in 1986, this is what they were going through with the press. Let's continue. It was reported, most notably in the Sunday Times of 20th of July 1986, that Elizabeth was worried that Margaret Thatcher's economic policies fostered social divisions and was alarmed by high unemployment, a series of riots, the violence of a miners' strike, and Thatcher's refusal to apply sanctions against the can't pronounce this apartheid regime. Forgive me for not pronouncing it right, in South Africa. The sources of the rumours included royal aide Michael Shear and the Commonwealth Secretary General. I can't pronounce his name. I'm not going to attempt it. But the person claimed his Thatcher's political opponents. I do apologize. Let's read that bit again. The person claimed his remarks were taken out of context and embellished by speculation. Thatcher reputedly said Elizabeth would vote for the Social Democratic Party, Thatcher's political opponents. Thatcher's biographer, John Campbell, claimed the report was a piece of journalistic mischief making. Oh my gosh. Reports of acrimony between them were exaggerated, and Elizabeth gave 2 honours in her personal gift membership in the Order of Merit and the Order of the Garter to Thatcher after let's read that again, I do apologise. Elizabeth gave 2 honours in her personal gift membership in the Order of Merit and the Order of the Garter to Thatcher after her replacement as Prime Minister by John Major. Brian Mulroney, Canadian Prime Minister between 1984 and 1993, said Elizabeth was a behind-the-scenes force in ending apartheid. Can't pronounce that. Sorry about that. Let's continue. In 1986, Elizabeth paid a 6-day state visit to the People's Republic of China, becoming the first British monarch to visit the country. The tour included the Forbidden City, the Great Wall of China, and the Terracotta Warriors. At the state banquet, Elizabeth joked about the British emissary to China being lost at sea with Queen Elizabeth's letter to the Wanli Emperor, and remarked, "Fortunately, postal services have improved since 1602. Elizabeth's visit also signified the acceptance of both countries that sovereignty over Hong Kong would be transferred from the United Kingdom to China in 1997. By the end of the 1980s, Elizabeth had become the target of satire. The involvement of younger members of the royal family in the charity game show It's a Royal Knockout in 1987 was ridiculed. In Canada, Elizabeth publicly supported politically divisive constitutional amendments, prompting criticism from opponents of the proposed changes, including Pierre Trudeau. Can't pronounce that name, I do apologize. The same year, the elected Fijian government was deposed in a military coup. As monarch of Fiji, Elizabeth supported the attempts of Governor General Ratu Sir Penaya Ganelu. Sorry, I can't pronounce all these names. I do apologize. To assert executive power and negotiate a settlement coup leader. I'm not even going to attempt this name here. Deposed Ganelo and declared Fiji a republic. So that brings us to the end of this session, number 9, which was Perils and Descent in terms of Queen Elizabeth II's life history. And the source what I'm reading from is Wikipedia. So in case you want to read further, you can check it out on Wikipedia. Our episodes 1 to 8 are on the community tab, and the playlist section, the playlist is on the community tab. So if you go to the playlist, you'll be able to see parts 1 to 8, and I'll include this part that I'm reading today. I'll include that for part 9. I'll include it in the playlist. So just like to say thank you so much for tuning in.